Hey y'all, welcome to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
Y'all, thank you for being so patient with us for the past couple weeks. Some personal stuff's been going on. We'll leave it at that because, we're private people. We don't need, the forces of QAnon going after us one day. And that is how that is.
It's going to happen anyway. So leave us to our personal items of business.
Agreed. So, we're not one of those podcasts that's going to tell you every detail about our lives and turn the opening into 50 minutes of us talking about what shows we like most.
Because that's not why you came here, dear listener.
No, it's not. I mean, yes, I could tell you how much I love Willow Smith right now, which is a sentence I never expected to say, but it's not why you're here.
Okay, but can we talk about Willow single with Machine Gun Kelly? That sounds like straight out of 2003, and it made me so uncomfortable. Like, I blinked and I had a pair of Dickies on.
Yeah, it is pure Avril Lavigne, but it's pop punk. It's produced by Travis Barker, Blink-182, who is the reason Machine Gun Kelly shifted from being a rapper to this neo-pop punk resurgence.
Which I just...
I've been through that punk phase of just like, they're too popular, so I don't like them. And now at my wizened age, it's just like, this is just fun. This is stupid and fun. There's a lot of great things about emo, but for a genre that produces a lot of sex pests, I think it's totally fine that this song exists.
Fair. For some reason, I think because it's like Avril Lavigne should definitely look into whether or not she needs to sue a la, Marvin Gaye estate and that one song. But yeah, there was something just like, it just took me back to a place in time, I want to say in college. And I don't know, I was just worried I was going to open the news and find out we had gone into Afghanistan again. Yep. It was too much time and place.
Yeah. I do remember that time period of everyone being like, well, at least we'll get good music. And it's like, well, all the good music was already playing before the war started. Rage was already pissed off. System of a Down was already doing their fucking thing. They knew this was coming. And so, then we got emo and nu metal. And I guess you're welcome. Anyway, that's not why you're here.
Right, we do politics.
Exactly.
We do politics.
We do Willow Smith politics.
Yay!
So the thing that I promised you, Una, is that coming into this week, you've been through some real bummer episodes. And I wanted to give you the happiest episode I possibly could find. So this is going to be that episode. So I guess the preface for this is that, here in America, our supreme leader, as you would call it, is president. It's how it's always been since we wrote it down on a few sheets of paper, is what it is. But did you know that America actually had an emperor?
Were I Hawaiian, I probably would have been making that argument ages ago, but...
Okay, that's a good point. That's more of a point. That's more of a kingdom, but still.
Sorry to get real on ya.
Yeah, we will be bringing up Hawaii in this episode. That's a small spoiler.
We can go back to the puppy bowl aspect of this episode.
But yeah, so we did actually have a bit of an emperor at one time, and we're going to be talking about him because he was probably the most benevolent emperor that we could have possibly hoped for. And he's a fellow by the name of Josh.
Oh no, the wine that gets sold to me on Hulu?
Different Josh. I promise it's a different Josh. They have taken that name and they have fucked it up. Telling something god-awful Cabernet and who knows what else. So we're talking about a fellow by the name of Joshua Abraham Norton. And old Josh was born in 1818, probably in Deptford, England. Even the date of his birth isn't entirely sure. There's a lot of questions whether it's 1816 or 1818, and whether it was February or January of that year. No one really knows. We just know he was probably from a suburb of London. We do know, though, that he was born of a Jewish family to a father named John Norton and Sarah Nordin, which I'm sure involved some fun conversations. But John had also been a merchant, and Sarah came from a family of merchants, so it was a very fortuitous sort of relationship. And by 1820, when Josh was 2 years old, the Nortons would leave England for the shore of the Eastern Cape of South Africa. In England, there had been a wave of unemployment, and the colonial government came up with a plan to help out the empire. They would offer support for people to move to the region of the Eastern Cape. And the plan was this sudden influx of colonizers would expand the number of English speakers in the area. Plus, the increased numbers would act as sort of a mode of, intimidation for the folks who lived there.
That's it.
Yeah. And this was also because currently in the area is mostly run by the Nguni people, who at the time were run by a guy named Shaka Zulu, who was one of
Zulu Nation.
Yeah, one of the most intelligent military minds in the history of the fucking world.
Ooh,
yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, the story of Shaka Zulu, I wish we had time for it. It's very clever modes of military tactics and ended up spiraling due to grief. But
I'm going to Wikipedia that for another day.
But lucky for the settlers, Shaka was kind of more interested in actually trading skills than going to war with them. Most of the folks who colonized the area had no clue how to farm, as is tradition, but were asked to make that their primary form of work. What could go wrong? So in exchange for Shaka and his people teaching them how to farm, the colonizers would teach Shaka and his men how to use firearms, and he would also allow the colonizers to use his land to farm. Of the 90,000 people who applied, 4,000 would be approved, which included the entire Norton family. And like so many others, the Nortons completely gave up on farming within a couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah. Turns out farming is hard, especially if you're not familiar with the area. And the Nortons, having all this knowledge in merchant things, opened a warehouse for ships and it ended up doing really well.
Right. I mean, you can't all just be farmers.
Look, if there's anything I've learned from, I don't know, Pol Pot or Stalin, if you make everyone do an occupation they're not used to doing, it turns out great. So at the age of 21, Josh would create a company of vague purpose with his brother-in-law, Henry. Josh would operate out of Port Elizabeth, and Henry set roots in Cape Town, which, is a really good call to have a business in completely separate areas to start with, especially when the company is 2 people big. And it also doesn't help that the cities were about an 8.5-hour drive apart, when cars exist. So in the 1830s, 1840s, you're not going to be able to get a lot done.
Right. And pardon my ignorance, but had the telegram even been invented by now?
I don't know. I don't know if Western Union was busy ripping people off or not, but I know there's at least boats and probably a horse. And would you know it, after 1 year, the brother and brother-in-law went completely out of business. So Josh returned to his family business and worked for his dad. The thing that was the Norton family fortune wasn't really having the success they had in the past. Business was failing and fortunes were shrinking in South Africa. So Josh did what so many people at the time did. He got together all of his cash and made his way to America. Josh would leave Cape Town in 1845, arrive in Boston in 1846. No one really knows what he did in Boston, but he then went to Rio, then Valparaiso, Chile, and ended his journey where he would live for the rest of his life in San Francisco. And he would enter the city with $40,000 in cash, which today is about $1.4 million.
Josh has some questions to answer.
So I don't know why this is questionable to you.
Just hopping through the South America lands and ending up with a cool million.
Yeah, from what I can read, and a lot of this is done through an organization I'll talk later because I don't want to spoil it, but this one organization has done the bulk of studies into Josh and how he both made his fortune and what the fuck he was doing during this time. And it seems like it was actually pretty mundane that he was traveling through Rio and Chile because he was just making business contacts and was doing merchant shit, boring merchant shit. And he was able to build one fuck of a nest egg and then just end up in San Francisco.
Oh man. All right, fine.
Yeah, no, we'll get to the fun stuff soon. I promise you. Josh Norton isn't just, pillaging his way through South America at the time.
Breaking hearts and stealing wallets.
Stealing wallets along the Chilean coast. So once Josh got to San Francisco, he straight away got to work in the investment business. He started putting his money into real estate and stocks. And by 1852, he had expanded his wealth to $250,000 or $9 million in today's money.
Damn. He could buy a small ranch in the Palo Alto area right now.
I mean, I was going to say a shitty condo downtown, but
Same diff.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, with all that property, he would probably be a billionaire right now if all of that property was under his name, as a dynasty of sorts.
The Josh dynasty.
God damn it. So not only was he now rich, but Josh had made himself part of city's high society. He dressed well, had a very neat mustache, and he joined the local Masonic lodge. Things were going great. But the thing about money, Una, is once a lot of folks have it, it's never quite enough. You're just like, what if I had more? More of this? Things are good, but more?
Things are good, but American now, so more?
Look, if there's anything I've learned through my travels, it's more. So in 1852, Josh was approached with a very interesting investment. A pair of rebellions in China had led to the country placing a ban on the export of rice. And it was also around this time that San Francisco had a very large Chinese population, predominantly due to the immigration of folks coming over to help build the railroad. And they'd be horribly underpaid and treated badly and forced into terrible living conditions. America. And so San Francisco was pretty heavily reliant on the rice trade. But with China suddenly banning the export of rice, the cost of it ended up skyrocketing from 4 cents to 36 cents a pound. And in modern terms, that would be if the price of rice jumped from $1.45 a pound to $13.
Oh, damn.
And if someone could get a shit ton of rice out of nowhere, then that person would make a ridiculous amount of money.
First, you get the rice. Then you get the money. Then you get the women.
The thing that I found both interesting and troubling is that the average price of rice in America per pound is 85 cents now. So it's even cheaper than it was then.
That is incredible and alarming.
Yeah. It's what happened? What are we doing? Probably nothing good. But so based on the contacts that he had gotten during his travels in South America, he had gotten word of a shipment of rice that was on its way to San Francisco from Peru. There were 200,000 pounds of the stuff coming. that no one else knew about. So Josh contacted a business friend of his named William Sim and sent word that they wanted to buy the entire shipment of rice. A trio of brothers, Jose Francisco and Manuel Ruiz, owned the rice and agreed to sell the whole thing for $25,000 for about 12.5 cents per pound. If this deal worked, and Josh could sell the rice at the highest mark that he could, then he and his partner stood to turn $25,000 into $72,000, or in today's standards, $900,000 into $2.6 million.
Oh my God. I really am just imagining this like cocaine, but it's rice.
It's just right. It's just a boat of fucking rice. Like, is there room for anything else? No. Just pack it with rice and stay afloat, please.
Throw a cell phone in it. See if I care.
So as the deal stood, Josh and his partner paid $2,000 up front and then promised to pay the other $23,000 when the shipment arrived. And before long, a shipment of rice arrived from Peru. Only thing, though, is it wasn't Josh's order. And then another boat showed up, and then another, and then another. All of them were full of rice. So by the time that Josh's shipment finally showed up, his partner William had bailed, and Josh was left to deal with the fallout of now having 25,000 pounds of rice that were worth 3 cents a pound.
It just overlooked. There was just so much rice now. It flooded the market.
Yes. It now costs less to buy rice now than before the panic.
Again, so crazy.
Yeah. Josh boarded the ship, and he had many options he could take. He could just pay his 23 grand, take the hit, and move on. Or there's plan B, which is look at the rice, declare it to be inferior quality, and sue the Ruiz brothers in court.
Couldn't he just buy it all and then store it in a warehouse?
I don't know if he owns a warehouse. I know he owns properties, but I don't know if any of them are a warehouse. But these are big ideas to immediate problems that Josh currently has.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I don't think of how other, oligarchs or whatever have cornered markets in terms of futures commodities.
Yeah, and it's like we're not even talking about the cost of removing it from the boat, of paying money to store it, to put it into packaging or whatever. No matter what, you're not making 3 cents a pound on this rice. It's gonna be less if you're lucky. So the Ruiz brothers were not ones to be fucked with, and said, all right, fuck it, I'll see you in court. And so it turns out that the reason Josh was so anxious not to pay this is that his modern day $9 million worth of wealth is sort of that hypothetical, I own a bunch of land, and when you combine it together, it's worth $9 million.
Oh, Joshy boy, no.
Yeah, so he is worth $9 million on paper.
Oh, no.
But cash-wise, maybe not so much.
He was a Trump-level millionaire. This is no bueno.
Yeah, he took a real risk to get himself some real money, and it bit him square in the ass. So some months after the court case started to file, you could see newspaper articles of various foreclosure sales appearing on Josh's properties. So the court case would start in 1854. It would go all the way to the California State Supreme Court. And by 1956, Joshua was forced to declare bankruptcy. The court ended up finding for the Ruiz brothers, and Josh just had no way to pay them other than sell all those properties and hope that was enough. For the next few years, it kind of seems like Josh simply disappeared. But he would reemerge in 1859 as a man of immense and unquestioned power. On September 17, 1859, Joshua walked up to the San Francisco Daily Evening Bulletin and delivered a letter to the editor, George Fitch. The letter would state, at the peremptory request and desire of a large majority of the citizens of these United States, I, Joshua Norton, formerly of Algoa Bay, Cape of Good Hope, and now of the last 7 years and 10 months past of San Francisco, California, declare and proclaim myself Emperor of these United States, and in virtue of the authority thereby in me vested, do hereby order and direct the representatives of the different states of the Union to assemble in Musical Hall of this city on the first day of February next, then and there to make such alterations to the existing laws of the Union as may ameliorate the evils under which the country is laboring, and thereby cause confidence to exist both at home and abroad in our stability and integrity. Norton I, Emperor of the United States.
Wow, this is BDE for sure.
So George Finch had this letter, and he looked at it, and he said, get this to fucking print now. And it was printed in the evening edition of his newspaper, like hours after he got the letter.
No notes, cut and run.
This is great. This is going to fill up at least a block. We're done. Put it underneath that ad for shoe polish. We got to get eyes on that. So Emperor Norton, after making this declaration, did make himself very easy to spot in the city of San Francisco. His regalia included a blue uniform with gold-plated epaulettes that he had been given by officers of the U.S. Army, a ceremonial saber, which people noted to be very ratty and in poor condition, a cane or umbrella, depending on the weather, and topped it all off with a beaver skin top hat adorned with a peacock feather and rosette.
Ooh.
And he dressed like this every fucking day.
A fancy boy.
Now, look, I think we do need to kind of discuss the main rule of gadflies. We don't make fun of mental illness. this. And especially in the world of third-party politics, you do get the occasional story that involves that. So I think we do need to talk a little bit about Emperor Norton's state of mental health.
Yeah, because this could be like a, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going all in. We're just going to go big or go home, which could be England or South Africa, depending. So why not? I got nothing left to lose. Or it's just like, wow, I just lost all my money that I didn't really have to begin with. And it's kind of taking me into a place mentally.
A lot of research has actually been done into this through the Emperor Norton Trust.
The Josh studies.
Yeah, exactly. I studied Josh at the University of San Francisco. They've done a decent amount of deep dives into this to try to figure out what exactly was his mental state. Another historian named Joel Gazi-Sachs also looked into this as well in 1999. And it is his belief, as well as the Emperor Norton Trust's belief, that it's mostly that it was predicated by his financial misfortune and more than likely a deep depression. Because there have been theories whether or not it was schizophrenia or not, but they've made the point that before becoming emperor and after becoming emperor, he really didn't have the symptoms of schizophrenia. You know, he wasn't hearing voices. He wasn't claiming that someone was telling him that he was emperor. He didn't have any bouts of paranoia or anything like that. According to Joel Gazi-Sachs and the Emperor Norton Trust, it seems a lot of it is that he had a really hard time focusing on business interests that he once thrived working on and really just didn't have a purpose. And so for the next 3 years, he fell into this sort of deep depression. And the creation of this Emperor Norton character was a creative outlet that really actually gave him the first true happiness he had in 3 years. And it's also like he liked being the center of attention. That's why he has a cool mustache. He joined the Masons. He has all this property, even though he's house poor. He's making these big moves. He likes the fact that people think he's a good businessman. And so now that he's Emperor of America, it's a good creative outlet to make everyone look at you.
Yeah, this is why cosplay is so important.
Exactly. You know what? You are right. You are 100% fucking right. God damn it. So this is a nice long way of saying that I'm confident that we're not making fun of Emperor Norton at any point during this, because quite frankly, a lot of the stuff that he does is actually really fucking smart.
Ooh, all right. I'm excited.
So one of the best ways that Emperor Norton was able to keep eyes on him was through a series of proclamations that the local papers were so fucking happy to publish for him. His first would come on December 2nd. That would be the day that John Brown would be hung by the state of Virginia for his attack on Harper's Ferry in an attempt to begin a revolution against Southern slavers. And to call this trial problematic would be kind of putting it lightly. John Brown's failed raid happened on October 16th, and it's essentially John Brown, a few of his friends, a few formerly enslaved people got together, and they were going to rob the armory at Harper's Ferry, Virginia. It was, I believe it was oversimplified, described it as a bold plan, but very dumb, because you're attacking an armory. It's going to be very heavily guarded, and after you attack it, people are going to show up.
And that's where the guns are.
Yeah, and it was John's hope that once word traveled through the various plantations that the armory had been taken over, that enslaved folks would end up going there and joining the fight. But just word didn't travel that fast for that to happen. So he took it on the 16th. He ends up losing on the 18th after the Marines were called in. And the Marines end up killing 10 people and severely beat John Brown over the head. And then they started the trial on the 27th, despite John Brown being too injured to do much but lay on a cot throughout most of the trial. There's a painting of him literally laying on a pallet, just trying his best to listen. Also requested to delay the trial for a few days so Brown's lawyers could arrive from Boston, Cleveland, and D.C. were constantly refused because, God forbid you let your lawyers understand what the indictments are and actually give them time to read things over.
Yikes.
So they sped it to trial, gave him a fucking public defender until his actual lawyers could show up.
Damn.
And so this led to John having 5 different lawyers over the 5-day trial. On November
5 days?
Yep, 5 days.
No.
Yup, 5 days. Fuck this bold asshole with the great facial hair. So on November 2nd, after 45 minutes of deliberation, Brown was sentenced to die, which they would do 1 month later, because according to the state, the main reason they had for hurrying things up so much was the fear that a rescue attempt would be mounted on John Brown at any point, and the law stated that you could only punish someone with capital punishment has to be 1 month after they're found guilty. In case something comes up in that month, I guess.
Like an appeals process?
Or evidence. I don't fucking know. But them's the law. You get 1 month. And so they were really worried that they're going to go down to Charleston, Virginia and get John Brown out of prison. And the fact of the matter is there actually was a plan for that to happen. A number of John Brown's family were trying to think of ways that they could go down there and get him. But so one guy ended up slipping past the various troops in Charleston, Virginia, got to John Brown and said, hey, we have this plan. We're going to get you out and it's going to be fine. To which John Brown said, don't do it. At the time, he was 59. He was too old to live a life constantly on the run. And according to John Brown, his death would have more an effect in pushing the cause of emancipation than his life would.
Ah, fair.
Yeah. So John Brown called it off. There's also a story that apparently John Brown became really good friends with his jailer. And it's kind of alluded that his jailer turned from pro-slavery to anti-slavery during the month that he knew John Brown.
Nice.
Yeah. John Brown, the one good white guy. He did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as John Brown put it, I am worth inconceivably more to hang than for any other purpose. And one of the cool things about Emperor Norton is he loved him some John Brown and hated slavery. So for the first proclamation since becoming emperor, he demanded that the governor of Virginia, Henry Wise, be immediately removed from office for his role in hanging John Brown, and that Vice President John Breckinridge should take over the job. I should note this is the same John Breckinridge that was the last ever Secretary of War for the Confederacy. So it's kind of a lateral move here, my emperor.
Emperor, you might want to do a little bit more digging.
Like, I know you can't see into the future, but this is your one proclamation that doesn't age well. But, it's a really bold move for a guy who just randomly called himself emperor. Sadly, Governor Wise would not listen to the emperor, nor would Vice President Breckinridge. And things just continued as on. He'd follow up this proclamation on February 1st, once again calling for a national convention to fix the country and various issues that plague the nation. I'm assuming most of that would probably be slavery, but including a number of other issues as well. He said everyone should meet at Platt's Music Hall in San Francisco, but this would have to be moved to Assembly Hall by the next year because Platt's burned down.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but all that said, best I can tell, the convention never really happened. So it's just, once again, people are ignoring the emperor.
Convenient that it burned down, eh?
I know, right? All right. I have a board here. I'm going to pull it out. Okay, so we know Josh was in the Masons. We know that's a fact. And the Masons and the Illuminati do not get along. That is a secret fact most people don't know. But if you read really deep into Fire on the Mountain and...
No!
Hello?
No!
But, all of that really wouldn't matter because on July 16th of 1860, Emperor Norton had enough and he pulled his biggest power move for being ignored ever so much. He dissolved America.
Someone had to do it.
Yeah, and sure, no one listened to him, but it would only be 9 months before the Civil War started and it kind of happened anyway.
Oh, who's the real emperor? I'm just saying.
But Emperor Norton couldn't wait that long. The summer ended, America was still a thing, so he took it one step further and proclaimed that Congress was banned from meeting in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm 99% sure by this he meant you are banned from being in, delegation or any sort of law enacting, congressional hall of any sort. But the way it's written, it literally means it literally sounds like the congressmen are not allowed to gather as a group anywhere. No going to a bar, no passing laws, no going to a kegger at fucking William Pennington's house. Fucking go home, you're done. And if Norton hears that all 199 of you fucks are in the same room, there's going to be hell to pay. And what kind of hell? Well, lucky for us, Emperor Norton is very detailed on this because by his decree, he wants General Winfield Scott to head over to Congress and kick everyone the fuck out for defying his order.
Who?
So Winfield Scott at the time was thoroughly respected, but by 1860, he was kind of the last man you'd want to put in charge of doing much of anything. So he was a huge hero during the Mexican-American War, but by the 1860s in the Civil War, he had a multitude of health issues. A crane and winch was required to get him on top of his horse.
Oh, wow.
He was just in very poor health all the way around. The list of his ailments included gout, rheumatism, edema, and vertigo.
Ooh.
So great combination for someone who's kicking out 199 people.
He's lucky if he can sit up in bed.
Yeah, it's not great. But he still had a very sharp mind during the time. So I think a lot of people still considered him very able at least in mind, if not in body. But like everyone else, General Scott completely ignored the emperor. And it was starting to seem like no one was taking his reign seriously. So in 1862, he made his last proclamation for quite some time. He demanded that both the Roman Catholic Church and all the Protestant churches ordain him emperor.
Yeah.
I have a question as a former Protty. How? Which Protestant? There's no real leaders of churches in the Protestant faith. It's just kind of you want the association heads?
All of them.
All of them.
Because you know who they get along with? The Pope.
Exactly.
In Rome.
You know what? Yeah, get the Amish, the Episcopalians, the fucking Baptists, get them all in the same fucking room, get them to agree with the Pope, and all of them decide on a crown that the emperor is going to wear, because it's not like they're going to even be able to decide on the fucking scepter, let alone the fucking headwear this guy's going to have to wear to prove his legendary being. Just the balls to pitch that. I just want to know who. Who did you think would do this? Or who would be respected enough in the Protestant faith to be like, yep, I'm the head of all the Protestant churches?
Jesus.
God, look, when you're right, you're right. I can't. God damn it. But, at least the Catholic Church kind of makes sense, but I guess that's only supposed to be if they're crowning the Holy Roman Emperor, which was kind of quit being a thing 66 years before he decreed that he be declared the Emperor of America.
But yeah, so now we just need the Holy American Emperor.
It's no. Kennedy had his chance.
Yeah, so true.
But life as a supreme ruler, it's not all edicts and proclamations. It is also massive popularity. Because within the 3 years that Emperor Norton rose to self-imposed power, he had become a celebrity amongst the people of San Francisco. Newspapers were eager for any story of him that they could get their hands on, and sometimes created fake proclamations as a way to sell papers. The most famous fake proclamation, which the Emperor Norton Trust did deep work to disprove, is a paper claim that Emperor Norton stated that if anyone came to town and referred to the city as Frisco, that's a $25 fine.
Okay, that's pretty great.
I mean, if you're going to make something up, it better be that good.
This absolutely feels like Twitter before Twitter.
The thing I like about it, though, is that the way it was written actually did include Emperor Norton's kindness, because it required that the officer warn the person first of the law. So it's like you get one pass and then it's $25.
That's great.
Yeah, that's the Norton I know.
But I also just love the journalist in question being like, you know what I fucking can't take? If any more tourists come in here
that was
looking to do it up in Frisco style. Yeah. Yeah, like even by then they're just like, fuck this.
We didn't have a long name for you, just shorten it in the most douchey way possible.
Yes.
So 1861 would also be the year that the first ever play featuring Emperor Norton as a character would premiere. Tucker Hall would premiere Norton I, an Emperor for a Day. There is no record of the plot, but I assume it was a comedy of some sort, and audiences were quote, present. This did end up having a bit of a trend that theaters were very fond of making Emperor Norton a character in a number of things. But we'll get to that in a bit later. Emperors also have the luxury of their own retinue, and Norton I was no exception. He had the good fortune to have two of the most famous dogs in the city occasionally by his side. I hate to tell you, Una, things are about to get very cute. So it's important to note that the mid-19th century in California had what one could put lightly, a bit of a dog problem. For instance, in Los Angeles, the number of stray dogs to humans ratio was 2-to-1.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about the good puppers, but feral, steal your blood kind of dogs. Like, they're going to bite you and sell the plasma. These dogs live by no rules. But cities would enact strong dog catching laws to try and curtail the number of strays in the streets. But exceptions would be made for any dogs that were good at catching the only animal hated more than them, rats. Enter a big old black and white newfie by the name of Bummer.
Oh.
This good boy lived outside of a pub and became known for being really, really good at catching rats. And because of that, the bar owner let him stay around. The patrons and people at restaurants along the street would feed Bummer scraps. He just kind of became a feature of the neighborhood. In 1861, though, a dogfight happened in front of the bar, leaving one of the dogs, not Bummer, with a very deep wound on his leg. Bummer walked up to the dog, led him back to the bar, and coaxed him into eating scraps that he would bring back for the dog.
Oh my God.
And while everyone expected this injured dog to die, he ended up getting better. When the dog was at full health, he chose to stay and become bonded to Bummer. And the bar patrons named this dog Lazarus.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Because he came back from the dead.
Exactly. So the pair would go on to become the most prolific ratters in the whole city. One evening, they were noted for killing 85 rats in 20 minutes. And the reason we know this is because the bar that Bummer and Lazarus hung out at was the journalism bar.
Yes.
So reporters would tell the public of things that the doggos had done that day, compare their exploits to issues of the day, and essentially become main characters of the drawings of cartoonist Edward Jump, who might be the one cartoonist from the 19th century who didn't overdo shit with huge word balloons. He was very simple and very good. So one of the things I thought was really funny too with Bummer and Lazarus is that the newspapermen would occasionally make up stories, but they would also they would just make up drama out of nowhere. There would be a period of time that Bummer would get hurt and Lazarus needed food. So he went with another dog and started hunting with this other dog for a while. And the newspapermen are like, Lazarus has abandoned Bummer. He is this ne'er-do-well, this rapscallion of a hoodlum. And then Lazarus ends up coming back, and they're like, this His prodigal son has returned. How dare he show his face at this bar?
Oh my God, this is better than any Real Housewives episode.
It's essentially Linda Belcher and King Trashmouth. It's just inventing stories because you're drunk and you need to fill some space.
God, and they got paid for that too.
They got fucking paid to make fan fiction about a pair of dogs.
Oh,
what a fucking life in 1800 San Francisco. But the thing is, though, being really good ratters and great for selling papers did not give them complete immunity. In 1862, a brand new dog catcher who had no idea who Bummer or Lazarus were was doing what he was supposed to do and caught Lazarus. And people surrounded the pound demanding the release of Lazarus immediately, or they would burn it to the ground.
Yes, I'd be there too.
You know, this is the way I really wanted Lady and the Tramp to end. A bunch of people were like, they got fucking Tramp, burn their shit down. Have you seen these dogs eat spaghetti? It's adorable. Tony, get the napalm.
Cut you.
This is a small town. All we have is this fucking dog couple. So the city, sensing a potential riot out of nowhere, took very swift action. They not only released Lazarus, but declared him and Bummer to be city property and free to roam with complete immunity.
Wow.
And then they thanked the city by stopping a runaway horse 1 week later.
Bummer and Lazarus did that?
Yep.
What?
These are just good puppers.
They're so good.
And look, I will say, I mean, these still are feral dogs. They do also have a bit of an attitude and definitely do not like certain people and children. But
nice. Neither do I. So
exactly, yeah.
Go on with your bad self, Bummer.
Exactly. They stopped a horse. You can bite a child. You can bite one. Yeah. So there's never really been any actual evidence that Norton owned the pair or willingly hung out with them. To be perfectly honest, Norton was actually really mad. There was a picture that Edward Jump had drawn of Norton at a buffet table, and Bummer and Lazarus were just like standing there as good doggos do, just like with that scrap now look, just like food please. It is really adorable and fucking great. But Emperor Norton was like, I would never hang out with a dog. This is demeaning to who I am and an insult to the Emperor. More of a cat guy, I guess. But essentially,
the dogs were getting better press than he was. They're just jealous.
I mean, possibly, very possibly. I should also bring up there was another character in San Francisco at this time, a dude who referred to himself as George Washington Jr., that he claimed to be the descendant of George Washington. He absolutely was not, and Norton and him did not get along. So it's entirely possible. But it's from this Edward Jump picture that everyone just assumed that Emperor Norton and Bummer and Lazarus hung out together.
You know what I'm also realizing? San Francisco has always been San Francisco to its core. These are stories that could have happened in like 2012, and I wouldn't bat an eye.
Literally any other city, these dogs would have been forgotten, and this man would have lived a life of complete obscurity. But no, in San Francisco, like, yeah, you want to be emperor? Fucking fine. These two dogs, they're fucking great. I will burn down the pound if you even look at them wrong. So despite his protest, the newspapers kept up the narrative that all three of these dudes were the best of pals, even in moments of tragedy. So I hate to say it, dogs do pass. So we do have to talk a little bit about that. So in 1863, Lazarus would be poisoned, mainly because he bit a kid.
What?
Look, you get one.
Yeah, but what was the kid doing?
He's probably being a little shit, if I had to guess. That is fucking Lazarus.
I imagine, like, get rabies and move on.
Like, I just picture like a little dweeb in a sailor suit just walking around being like, Daddy, I want to punch the dog now.
Yeah, one of those lollipops that's like the size of his head.
Yes, he has to have that, and he's hitting the dog with it, and Lazarus is like, I'm going to give you 10 hits. I swear to God. I stopped a horse. You all right? Fuck it. Ah. So yeah, Lazarus ends up getting poisoned, and a $50 reward was raised to find the murderer. No one came forward. But Edward Jump did draw probably one of the best political cartoons I think I've ever seen. It's really fucking good and honestly very touching for what it is. He ends up drawing this cartoon that is the entire city coming out to Lazarus's funeral. Emperor Norton is acting as officiating clergy. They like draw him with like a little pope hat and like a frock and everything, and he's like doing everything. George Washington Jr. is like digging the grave, and Bummer is looking on mournfully. It is so sad and kind of it's just such a sweet farewell to a dog that would have been completely forgotten in any other city. So Bummer he'd end up living for another 2 years, and he would pass as well. Bummer had been kicked in the stomach by a drunk. He'd end up dying a couple days after that. The city immediately arrested the drunk because they were pretty sure a riot was going to start if everyone got around this guy and had their chance with him.
Yeah.
So they throw this drunk in a cell, and his cellmate just does the casual conversation of like, what are you in for? He's like, I'm the reason Bummer's dead. And the dude punches him in the face.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, same, but damn.
Yeah. He's like bragging to the press how he popped this guy in the nose. And likewise, Bummer also gets a very beautifully drawn cartoon of like Lazarus is in heaven preparing a dinner table for him. He's like laying on this dais and rats are coming up to pay their respects.
I don't know why they would, but fine, whatever.
Look, you got to honor your enemies. Sometimes just be like, you were good at what you did. I respect that. Game see game, moment. I think is the term.
Yeah.
And to even top that off, Bummer was given his own eulogy in the paper by a young dude by the name of Samuel Clemens, who we might know more as Mark Twain.
God damn.
Yeah. So before Twain became famous, he wrote this eulogy. He was like working for the newspapers at the time.
Yeah, and cutting his teeth on doggo eulogies.
Yeah, doggo eulogies and Emperor Norton news. There's currently a brass plaque in Transamerica Redwood Park that remains to commemorate a pair of very good rascally doggos. But let's not forget the more important role of an emperor, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the emperor, not his retinue. But the most important role is you got to deal with international issues. And in 1861, the French would invade Mexico as retaliation for the country placing a moratorium on loan payments to the French, British, and Spanish creditors. France would create a really unique force of British, Spanish, Austrian, and Belgian soldiers, but also 2,000 Confederate exiles.
Okay.
Yeah. So Napoleon III would place Maximilian I as the puppet ruler of Mexico, but had to see fit to name someone as protector. And the general idea is that Maximilian I would act as king or emperor, while the protector holds more of like a prime minister type role. And word of this would pass up to the States. And someone got the idea that the obvious person who would be great for a protector is Emperor Norton, especially because rumors had been floating that Emperor Norton was actually the son of Napoleon III.
Fuck it, why not?
Run with it. Fucking run with that shit.
The dogs are dead. We need something to latch onto.
So Norton, upon hearing this, immediately accepted the position, and for a period of time, his extended title was Norton I, Emperor of the United States, Protector of Mexico. He would, though, eventually abandon that claim, stating, quote, "It is impossible to protect such an unsettled nation."
Okay, well, we don't need to be racist about it.
Yeah, I think it was also just there was a lot going on at the time, and then Max ends up getting kicked out around Cinco de Mayo, around that time.
I think Maximilian is also the reason he brought I think it's Maximilian who brought his love of polka to Mexico and influenced mariachi music, which is why it has that same beat.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Aw.
I know.
So his other foreign policy mostly never reached the heights of more than an unrequited correspondence. In particular, Emperor Norton seemed obsessed with the idea of getting married, in particular to Queen Victoria.
Okay, I'm not going to ask obvious questions. Continue.
So the letters would seem a bit rude, mainly because Prince Albert had only died in 1861, and Queen Victoria was being, well, quite frankly, utterly heartbroken. It's noted historically that she wore black for the rest of her life after his death and just fell into a deep depression.
Yeah. Also, doesn't he still have a wife?
Who? Emperor Norton?
Yeah.
No, Emperor Norton never married.
Wait, so who? Okay, so it was the son of the Nortons who moved to...
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
He's a bachelor. And you know what's the best time to hit on a woman? When she's in deep mourning.
That funeral rebound, am I right?
And quite frankly, it doesn't seem like that he was wanting to marry her out of love or any sort of thing like that. It was entirely a marriage of convenience. It was, he viewed England and America together as being just an obvious power couple and just being able to influence their needs above everything. There is no evidence whatsoever that Queen Victoria ever saw his letters, but we do know that she never responded.
Yes.
But that wouldn't be the case with a different emperor. In 1867, he would have his first success with international diplomacy. This would be the year that he would begin correspondence with King Kamehameha V of Hawaii. At first, letters were infrequent, but as America made it more and more apparent that they really just wanted to take over Hawaii and really weren't interested in diplomacy, King Kamehameha began referring to Emperor Norton I as the true ruler of America and would only speak through him.
I kind of love that. Like, yeah, this is fucked, so you can get fucked.
It's such a beautiful power move and so simple. It's exquisite. I love it. 1867 would also be the year of greatest disrespect for Emperor Norton at home. You see, a new officer by the name of Armand Barbier was patrolling his new beat, and he happened across Norton. And you'd place him under arrest for, quote, involuntary treatment of a mental disorder. So having a mental illness in public, essentially.
Ah.
Yeah. And if you thought people were pissed about Lazarus being arrested, you have not seen anything yet. As crowds grew and a riot once again seemed imminent, Police Chief Patrick Crowley begged the public for forgiveness and ordered an immediate release of the emperor.
Frankly, this is on Patrick Crowley, because what is he doing bringing in new officers and like not giving them the command?
Guys, look, you can't arrest certain dogs. I know there's someone you can't arrest. I wish I could remember. I mean, he has a hat, his cane. That's got to be right down, right?
Emperor. This is a drawing of his face. Know it. Remember it.
Yeah, you're going to arrest George Washington Jr. No one likes him.
Yeah, I said emperor. Don't worry about it. Just go on.
We don't need another fucking cop on the edge, Bartier. Fucking turn in your badge and your gun. And so Crowley immediately apologizes to the crowd, releases the emperor. All charges are dropped, and the San Francisco police chose from here on out to honor the emperor by saluting him whenever he passes.
It's beautiful.
And as thanks for his swift action, Emperor Norton gave Patrick Crowley an imperial pardon for arresting him.
Amazing!
I love it so much. This had to be the worst day of Patrick's life. And then he has to suffer the indignity of accepting a pardon from a man who calls himself emperor.
Commit to the bit.
Look, it's either commit to the bit or be set on fire. We're drunk. There's a lot of dogs. Mark Twain just left. What are we going to do otherwise? So it had been a long reign, but it had been a while since the emperor's last proclamation. And in 1969, he would issue a trio back to back. First, he advised the city to advance Frederick Marryat money to continue with his airship experiments. Now, Frederick Marryat had essentially been trying to make a lighter-than-air craft, and up until the stock market crash of 1869, he created a craft that could fly reliably for a few feet. And it kind of is alluded that if he did lose his funding for this, he might have actually invented the airplane before the Wright brothers.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So he would invent another ship after that called the Aviator Hermes Jr. that would fly a few times a day for an admission fee. It was kind of more of like a glider than anything, but this would end up falling apart because it caught fire and burned down within the year.
So an early Hindenburg.
Exactly, yeah. After this, he followed this up by banning the Democratic and Republican parties. Neither complied. And finally, he, God damn it, I love the story. So at one point, Emperor Norton decides, you know what, I should go to Sacramento because I should see the state capitol and order them to pay me a yearly tribute. That, you know, if I'm the emperor, I should at least be getting tax money out of this. So
yeah,
he goes to Sacramento, orders them to pay a tribute. They don't listen to him. And in retaliation, he ordered the city to, quote, clean their streets and build gas lights on the streets leading up to the Capitol building. Your city's a dump and it's not technologically advanced. Give me money.
Give me the tax money that you clearly need to use on street lamps. But also, I'm not wrong.
Yeah, look, I visited Sacramento and I'm going to say, not impressed. Emperor decree, not impressed.
Yeah.
In the following year, Norton also ordered that the Grand Hotel had to give him a room to live in or they would be banished. I don't know if that means the hotel is banished or the staff or the person who owns the hotel, but it really didn't matter because the hotel told him to kick rocks and didn't give him a room.
Oh, boo.
Agreed. That would such good publicity. Being like, did you know an emperor lives at our hotel? Which one?
Honestly, though. The emperor of America.
It's such a slam dunk, but no. And yeah, that's a lot of him being ignored. But he would get one little win in 1870. That's because the U.S. Census officially arrived in town. And when they talked to Emperor Norton, they wrote down his job occupation as emperor.
Yes!
Norton is now viewed by the American government in legal paperwork as a fucking emperor.
This is why you fill out the census, people.
I'm just so happy
Stop
they
being
just
small-minded.
went with it. Like, what tired census person is like, there are 50 dogs to every person. 35 of them are deified for some reason. I just want to go.
I'm so tired. I got kicked in the back of the legs because I couldn't call this place Frisco.
Yep.
Because I'm so tired.
Just want to save a second of my day.
And the rest of America.
Emperor, whatever the fuck you want, man. They are not paying me enough to give a fuck. Yeah. There's one of you, great. We can at least agree on that.
Right. Maybe there are more. That's why we're here.
But you know what? We don't have time to celebrate because we have a whole new batch of decrees about to come out. Norton's on a fucking roll. And these two would cement Emperor Norton as a San Francisco legend. Because on March 23rd, 1872, Norton declared that there should be like a suspension bridge and it should connect Oakland, Yerba Buena Island, and San Francisco. And what you know, today we know that bridge is the Bay Bridge. And Norton the First declared that it should be built about 47 years before the law would be passed to build it.
Oh my goodness, Norton! Emperor Norton, gone.
But after this, he, you know, it's a mix of like, he's not being listened to, but he kind of goes back to the drawing board. Like, maybe I'm being a little too hasty with this. And a few months later, he says, all right, look, what we actually need is a commission. We don't know for sure if the bridge is the right way to go. So what we need is a commission to see if the bridge is the right idea, or maybe there should be a tunnel underneath the bay. That's a good idea, right? And would you know, there's a tunnel under the bay right now called the Trans-Bay Tube, opened in 1974. Granted, not because the emperor ordered it, but it's kind of nice for people to finally fucking listen to the man.
It should be the Emperor Norton Tunnel.
It really fucking should be. And after these decrees, Emperor Norton would only make one more in 1873, declaring a Bible convention to occur on the day his order was released, which, doesn't give much time for planning. I don't know which hotel is going to host it. Maybe the Sheraton. I don't know. I don't know what the 1870s version of the Sheraton was.
Great was around, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a Ramada or a Holiday Inn. It'll be fine. Best I can tell, it never happened. But after that, he never released another decree. He did keep himself busy, though. He spent his days surveying the city streets and buildings for dangers or things in need of repair. He created his own currency that businesses would actually accept. He would sell them to tourists as well, which is a nice way to make a little extra cash. And he made a small living off of local speaking engagements as well.
I was wondering how, he kept afloat as emperor.
Yeah, he was mostly living in boarding housing throughout this time, in downtown San Francisco of all fucking places. But yeah.
What a time to be alive.
I know, right? But one of his last big moments would come in 1878, when he happened upon a working man's party rally led by Dennis Kearney. Now, the working man's party claimed to be mostly focused on labor, but its real goal was to be a front for anti-Chinese actions and Dennis Kearney's deep fucking racism.
Womp womp.
So essentially the working man party was just kind of an excuse to incite violence, harm, and to kill as many Chinese immigrants as they possibly could. The emperor comes across one of their rallies that's going on. He interrupts it and demands that they all go home.
Yes, Emperor Norton.
So it's kind of, there's an apocryphal story is that Emperor Norton placed himself between the mob and the Chinese neighborhood, stood his ground, and prayed until the men disbanded. What history says happened, though, is the mob just kind of ignored him and then just went about their violence. But it's nice to have an anti-racist guy in the middle of fucking nowhere. I mean, it's the fucking 1800s. It's nice to have one now that John Brown is dead. So in 1880, while Norton was on his way to give a lecture at the California Academy of Sciences, I do not know what he was going to say. I'm sure it was a banger. He would end up falling to the ground at the corner of California and DuPont Street. A police officer immediately noticed, had someone call a doctor, and went to administer aid. As the newspaper the call stated, quote, "On the reeking pavement, in the darkness of a moonless night, under the dripping rain, Norton I, by the grace of God, Emperor of the United States, Protector of Mexico, departed this life." And no one really knows what killed him.
Oh.
Following the morning, though, there was one final mystery to solve. Because, there were rumors about this guy that were going around like crazy. He's the son of Napoleon, he's this, he's that. The big one is that Emperor Norton wasn't actually poor. That he was just miserly and using this facade as a way to hoard his wealth and to be able to keep afloat. And so the theory was that if you go back to Emperor Norton's house, you're going to find a fuck ton of loot. So the police would enter his room at the boarding house where he lived, and they found out that rumor was actually complete bullshit. Amongst his possessions were, quote, $5 or $6 in loose change, a single gold sovereign worth $2.50, a collection of walking sticks, his saber, a set of hats, a French franc from 1828, and a set of imperial bonds that he would sell to tourists at 7% interest.
Amazing.
Initially, Norton was going to be buried in a pauper's graveyard, but the local business association and Pacific Club created a funeral fund that ensured the emperor would receive a rosewood casket and a dignified funeral. 10,000 people would attend the funeral, and the march to his gravesite was noted as being 2 miles long. Then again, another paper would claim that only 30 people showed up. Honest to God, what's the story in that? Fuck you. Fuck you for telling the truth in the fucking news. This is San Francisco. We make up proclamations. We love an emperor. These dogs are fucking angels now. Get the fuck out of town.
As evident from your quote of his sudden demise, this is the golden age when you could write like F. Scott Fitzgerald and get it into a newspaper. No questions asked.
Yeah. The legend of Emperor Norton has lived on in all kinds of books and media. Talked about Mark Twain earlier. He has stated that Norton is the basis of The King and the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Robert Louis Stevenson would make Norton the focus of his book, The Wrecker. He also appears in Neil Gaiman's masterwork, The Sandman. In the audio version of The Sandman, he's played by John Lithgow.
Nice.
And since 1939, there's actually been multiple pushes to rename the Bay Bridge the Emperor Norton Bridge. The Emperor Norton Trust is pushing for 2022 to be the year that they can introduce a legislative resolution to make the name change official, just in time for the 150th anniversary of the Emperor's First Bridge proclamation.
Do it, you cowards.
But it's the autobiography written by his stepdaughter, Isabel Osborne, that really sums up Emperor Norton I's legacy the best. Quote, "Emperor Norton was a gentle and kindly man, and fortunately found himself in the friendliest and most sentimental city in the world. The idea being, let him be emperor if he wants to, and San Francisco played the game with him." And that's a story of America's one and only emperor, Emperor Norton the First.
So beautiful.
It's such a wholesome fucking story. I was prepared, as always, to just be devastated during the research, and I just was consistently melting with every detail.
Yeah, just sitting on edge, being like, when is the shoe going to drop?
Yeah, like one of these dogs is a Nazi. It's like there's going to be some really shitty thing that's going to happen with this guy. And it's just like, no, he was a rich dude who, took a real risk. It did not work. And after 3 years of a deep depression, he kind of came out on the other side like the best version of himself, personality wise, it seems. Like it seems like he never had a bad word for anyone except like being offended that he be drawn with dogs. But aside from that, he seems like he was just a really nice person who fucked with the police.
Yeah. Stood up for the Asian community.
Yeah. So yeah, I really hope this is the year that the Bay Bridge gets renamed the Emperor Norton Bridge. There is a statement that half the bridge is going to be renamed the Emperor Norton Bridge or some shit like that. It's some weird bullshit. But the deal is, for it to pass, you have to get Oakland and San Francisco to agree on it. And like the cities have never been able to come to a resolution that they're comfortable with.
Okay. Well, Oakland, come on.
Yeah.
Please.
Let San Francisco be weird.
This sheds a whole new light on that story like a decade or so ago where that Make-A-Wish kid wanted to be Batman for a day, and the entire city did it to the nines. Okay, this is in your blood. This is in the water.
Yeah. I was trying to think of modern day examples that we have of someone like him. And it's like, Chicago has its folks downtown, but no one who's really like beloved. I mean, Wesley Willis might have been the closest person that we had who was like, he was a musician's a nice word to put it, but during the 90s, he would just write these 2-minute songs called I Kick Batman's Ass. Cut the mullet, just like these rambling songs that were just atonal, had a Casio keyboard setting, and he would just scream sing, but they're so weirdly fucking charming. Like there's a whole song about him getting kicked out of a Blix because he had he had schizophrenia as well at the time, and he had like an episode, and there's a whole song about him getting kicked out of a Blix and feeling bad about it.
Oh,
but Wesley might be the last person, because I can't really think of any like downtown figure who was really loved by the city.
Yeah, I can't think of. No.
So yeah, I guess what I'm asking is like, can we have one? Can we have one good story of a person who I don't know how to finish that sentence. I really don't.
We need an emperor. To bring us all together.
Well, I'm glad you joined us here on Gadfly. We're now an imperialist podcast. Latin. I don't know Latin. Whatever the Latin phrase for Hail Emperor, or like.
Ooh, yeah. I don't know, Rex Emptor or something to that effect.
Yeah, and Invictus something. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, everyone, thank you so much for being so patient for the past couple of weeks. We wanted to present you with like a happy feel-good story amongst all like the sad, weird stories we tell.
Yay!
So I'm glad we found one. And who knows, this might become a yearly tradition of one happy story.
One out of the 52 weeks.
Oh man, it'll be like the millennial experience. You get one good day.
Oh my god, it's too honest.
Oh man, on that note, thank you all for your patience and for joining us again, and we'll see you next week on Gadfly. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?